Assalamualaikum. Alright, so today kita masuk kepada identifying the outliers. So saya kira this is our last topic in our syllabus. Okay, the identifying of the outlier cases. Okay, actually outlier ni ada dua, outlier in X dan juga outlier in Y. So yang kita panggil outlier tu adalah outlying cases in Y observation, dipanggil outlier. But kalau extreme values ataupun outlying cases in X, okay, extreme values in X direction, ianya dipanggil high leverage point. Okay, high leverage point. Okay, and then so bila kita ada outlier, we can know whether the outlier influence ataupun tidak, whether the outlier should be eliminated from our dataset or not. So, kalau sebelum ni yang kita practice before this, kalau ada outlier and then that outlier ada memberi kesan sikit-sikit kepada you punya data ataupun analysis, then we delete the outlier, kan? But now kita boleh tengok, kita kena tengok dulu. We can identify whether outlier is influential cases ataupun tidak. That outlier should be deleted or not. Tak semua outlier should be deleted from our dataset sebab sometimes that point ataupun that outlier tadi tu have the many info to the data, then it can contribute kepada our analysis. But if the outlier ataupun the high leverage point tadi tu influence our data ataupun influence the analysis, that one baru kita boleh delete the point. Okay, so that point tadi dinamakan influential observation. So influential observation ni adalah daripada outlier cases. Tapi outlier tak semestinya influential observation. Influential observation adalah outlier, tapi outlier tak semestinya influence observation. So kita kena check dulu that outlier yang kita ada tadi tu adalah influential observation or not. Okay, but first of all, you need to know how determine macam mana kita nak detect the outlier, the high leverage point dan juga influential observation. Sama ada dua cara, gunakan diagnostik ataupun kita boleh gunakan scatter plot. Okay, so first of all kita tengok dulu macam mana nak identify the outlier ataupun high leverage point or influential observation using the scatter plot. Alright, so I pergi kepada sini one by one. Okay, beza antara outlier dan leverage dan juga influential observation. Okay, kita baca sikit dulu. Okay, an outlier is a data point whose response Y does not follow the general trend of the rest of the data. So, bila kita tengok daripada scatter plot, macam mana kita nak detect that data point adalah outlier or not, adalah kita tengok bila ada that point, okay, that point does not follow the general trend. Kalau you ada banyak-banyak data, akan create the trend, kan, sama ada upward ataupun downward trend. Tapi kalau that data point tadi ianya terkeluar daripada general trend of the rest of the data, that point dipanggil outlier in Y, which is kita panggil dia outlier lah. Okay, extreme value in Y response. Okay, itu outlier. Kalau data point has a high leverage if it has extreme predicted X values. Dia ada extreme in X value sahaja, tapi ianya ianya still follow the trend. With a single predictor, an extreme X values is simply one that is particularly high or low. Dia ada extreme values, extreme predictor in X values, dipanggil high leverage point. Okay, itu beza antara outlier dan high leverage. Outlier does not follow the trend, tapi high leverage adalah extreme in X values. Okay, so note that we consider a data point to be an outlier only if it extreme with respect to the other Y values, not the X values. Okay, ini adalah outlier. Okay, kita dah tahu outlier, kita dah tahu high leverage. Kita dah tahu pula whether outlier dan high leverage ni adalah influential observation ataupun tidak. A data point is influential if it unduly influence any part of a regression analysis. Okay, such as predicted responses akan berubah, the estimated slope coefficient yang positif jadi negatif. Okay, so itu influence. Maksudnya that data point sama ada outlier ataupun leverage tadi influence the regression analysis. Outlier and high leverage data points have potential to be influential, but we generally have to investigate further to determine whether or not they are actually influential. So kita kena check dulu, so, akan ada satu lagi step nanti kita boleh check the influential, ada 3 step lagi. Okay, so, tapi daripada scatter plot tu kita boleh tengoklah juga actually that point adalah influential ataupun tidak secara kasar. Okay. And one advantage of the case in which we have only one predictor is that we can look a simple scatter plot in order to identify any outlier and influential data points. Let's take a look at a few examples. Okay. So yang ni kalau kita ada satu X dan satu Y. Okay, contoh yang ni kita punya scatter plot. Nampak okay kan? Tak ada any extreme values in Y on X. All the data point follow the general trend. So it follows the general trend, berada di trend yang menaik ni of the rest of the data. So there are no outliers in Y direction and none of the data are extreme in with respect to X. So there is no leverage point. Tiada outlier dan tiada juga leverage point. Apa tadi outlier? Outlier adalah point yang berada di luar daripada trend. Dan leverage point pula adalah extreme values in X. So kat sini tak ada extreme values in X. So no outlier and no leverage point. Overall, none of the data point will appear to be influential with respect to the location of the best fitting line. So kalau tak ada outlier, tak ada high leverage point, so tak adalah influential observation. So the data kat sini said to be okay lah, reliable untuk kita proceed. Secara amnya lah kan, tapi selepas tu baru kita check dia punya assumption and so on. Okay, tengok pula yang ni, contoh yang ni. Okay, this point, the right point here. Okay, so apa kita boleh tengok kat sini? Adakah ianya outlier ataupun high leverage point? This is the trend. The point kat sini terkeluar daripada trend. So ini adalah outlier. Okay, ini adalah outlier, tapi ianya bukan high leverage points. Sebab apa? Sebab dia bukannya extreme values in extreme in X values. Kan ini X di antara range of X, ianya bukan extreme daripada X. Kalau berada di luar daripada X kat sini ke contohnya, so itu barulah high leverage point. So data ni adalah outlier. Okay, kita tengok pula outlier ni, data ni kita kata outlier. Okay, kalau outlier ataupun high leverage point, kita check pula outlier atau high leverage point ni influential ke tidak untuk kita remove daripada data. So sekarang ini adalah outlier, so kita check pula outlier ni adalah influential observation ataupun tidak. So we look at this. Okay, bila tiada this point, okay, dia punya regression function will be y equal to 2.96 plus 5. And then bila ada that point, so dia akan jadi y point equal to 1.73 plus 5.12x. So ianya tak ada beza sangat, sikit saja berbeza. So ianya tak influence the regression equation dan juga regression coefficient. So we say that this outlier is not an influential observation. Okay, so So boleh baca kat sini. Because the right data point does not follow the general trend of the rest of the data, it would be considered as an outlier. However, this point does not have an extreme x values, so it does not have high leverage. Okay, outlier tapi not high leverage. In short, the predicted response, estimated slope coefficient, and the hypothesis test result are not affected by the inclusion of the right data point. Tadi kan sebab kita tengok regression function tadi tak berbeza sangat. Therefore, the data point is not influential. In summary, the right data point is not influential and does not have high leverage, but it is an outlier. Outlier tapi kita tak perlu delete daripada our dataset sebab ianya not influential observation. Okay, let's see the next example. Okay, this right data point. Okay, this is our trend. So this trend dia akan di sini dia punya trend kan. So maksudnya data ni berada dalam trend. So ini adalah outlier ataupun influential. What do you think? Okay, it is not an outlier sebab ianya berada dalam trend. Tapi ianya adalah high leverage point sebab terkeluar daripada x, range of x. Maksudnya data point ni ada extreme in x values. Okay, so ianya adalah high leverage point but not an outlier. Okay, so bila ianya high leverage point, so kena check pula this high leverage point ni adalah influential observation ataupun tidak, whether we want to delete the data point ataupun tidak. So kita tengok kat sini, bila ada this point, bila tiada this point, the value is 1.73. Tapi bila ada this red data point, okay, the value will be y equal to 2.47 plus 4.93. Tak ada beza sangat dia punya slope. So we can say that this high leverage point not an influential observation. So no need for us to delete this data from the dataset. Okay. So sama saja kat sini dia punya conclusion. The right data point does follow the general trend of the rest of the data. Okay. Therefore, it does not an outlier here. However, this point does have an extreme x value, so it does have high leverage. High leverage, but not an outlier. Okay. In short, the predicted response, estimated slope coefficient, and the hypothesis test result are not affected by the inclusion of the right data point. Kan kita tengok dia punya regression equation tadi. Therefore, the data point is not influential. In summary, the right data point is not influential, not an outlier, but does have high leverage. So the dataset adalah high leverage point. Okay, the last one. Tengok yang ni. Ini kita punya data. Ada satu kat sini. The right data point here. So what do you think? This data point is outlier or influential? So kita tengok. This right data point does not follow the general trend. So kita boleh katakan ianya adalah outlier. Kan? Sebab dia tak follow the general data point. And this red point also terkeluar daripada range of x. Maksudnya this data point have extreme in x values. So this data point is also have the high leverage. So dia kedua-dua, outlier dan high leverage point. Okay, outlier sebab does not follow the general trend. Outlier sebab it have the extreme value in x. Okay, in x. So this data point adalah outlier dan have high leverage. Okay, so kita kena check pula this data point should be deleted or not, atau which is we should determine whether this data point is influential observation or not. Okay, let's see this question. So kalau right data point ni tak ada, the equation will be y 1.73 plus 5.12x. Tapi bila adanya this right data point, the equation will be differ kepada 8.51 plus 3.32. Dia punya slope akan berubah. Sama juga dengan dia punya y-intercept. So, it will influence the analysis. So, because of that, we say that this red data point adalah influential observation. So, we can delete this red data point from our dataset to have the in order to have the good result ataupun more reliable result. Okay. Bila red data point ni ada, and then you tak delete from your dataset, maybe after this analysis you akan jadi maybe one of the assumption not satisfied, ataupun your observation, your variable is not significant, or the variable is not significant, and so on. So before that, before kita buat all that, okay, before kita run the analysis, kena clean the data first, check dulu untuk outlier. Okay, so yang tadi, explanation yang tadi, the red data point is most certainly an outlier and has the high leverage because the red data point does not follow the trend, and it also has an extreme in X values. And in this case, the red data point is influential. Kenapa? The solid line represent the estimated regression equation with the red data point included, while the dashed line represent the estimated regression equation with the red data point taken excluded. The existence of the red data point significantly reduce the slope of the regression line. Okay, dia akan effect. So, conclusionnya, the red data point is both high leverage and outlier, and it turned out to be influential too. So, we can delete from our dataset. So, that is the way how you can determine whether your data, whether the point is, whether it is an outlier or high leverage or influential observation. So, kalau pada sini pun, you boleh tengok juga. Okay, kalau kat sini, kita tengok kat sini outlier ada 4. Sini yang terlebih daripada the rest of the data kan. Number 1, number 2 here, number 3 and number 4. Ni dalam your textbook. Boleh baca lah kat sini, kat bawah ni ada dia punya explanation. Sama macam I bagi tahu tadi juga. Okay, so number 1, what do you think? Ini adalah influential ataupun high leverage? This is outlier ataupun high leverage. It does not follow the trend, so it is outlier. Tapi it does not have extreme values in X, so ianya bukan high leverage. Yang kedua, it follows the trend, kan? So it is not an outlier, tapi ianya adalah high leverage sebab ia ada extreme in X values. Okay, how about number 3 and 4 here? 3 and 4 adalah, both of these adalah both of these adalah outlier sebab dia tak follow the trend, dan juga ianya adalah high leverage point sebab ianya terkeluar daripada range of X. So these 2 point ada extreme in X values. So 3 and 4 can be said as influential observation. Tapi untuk confirmkan, kita boleh test, ada guna 3 cara method nanti saya akan bagi tahu. Okay, so this is the way how you can detect the high leverage or outlier, and whether this high leverage or outlier adalah influential observation from the scatter plot. Okay, it is helpful if kita punya data ataupun analisis kita adalah untuk simple linear regression saja. Maksudnya ada satu Y dan satu X. Senanglah untuk kita tengok which one is high leverage or outlier, and whether that point adalah influential observation ataupun tidak. Tapi kalau melibatkan multiple linear regression, we have the other way how to detect. Okay.